Welcome back to Raised by Her.
How you doing?
I'm doing really well. How are you doing?
I'm good.
You're good? You've had a good week?
I've had a good week. I've had a busy week. It's political season.
That we do know.
So I've been to a couple of fundraisers this week.
How did those go?
They were good. It was easy to be able to come into a room where folks are excited about the candidates.
That's true. That's important. It's helpful when folks are excited and hopeful.
I believe public service is so very important.
Yeah.
And so we have some good folks running for office in this area. And so, yeah, and it was good to see folks.
Yeah.
To be enthusiastic.
Excellent.
Yeah. What about you? What have you been doing this week?
I've also been doing political things.
Oh.
And I share your sentiments in terms of the fundraisers and the different events. It's a busier time, but also an exciting time and an important time. So, up until November, we're going to be rocking and rolling.
That's right. That's right. Lots of commercials and lots of individuals who are expressing their opinions. And it's great to be an American.
All right. On that note, I love how we crack up laughing after that. That's funny. Anything else that's been going on this week, or that's about it?
Well, I think this week has been, for me, a catch-up week because I've had a lot of work to do on a couple of my projects and a couple of my community service projects, one of which you're involved in, that we are doing together in one of our organizations that we're in together. And that's
we're supporting HBCUs.
That's absolutely correct.
And their students.
And the students. And it's exciting for me to see the quality students being able to have great experiences and individuals wanting to invest in the future of our students. And some really good students who are, I think, engaged in campus life in addition to learning. So yeah, it's been a busy week.
I don't spend a lot of time on college campuses anymore. But I agree with you. The applications we received for the different projects and programming that we're offering, cool things are happening on student campuses.
Yes.
Okay.
So that's good.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Also, I have I've been contacted by a friend of mine that is a television producer. And he has had an opportunity to see our podcast. And this was my boyfriend from college.
Oh.
And it was an interesting conversation.
Boyfriend from college. How did he have your number?
Well, he has my number because over the years when I was in broadcasting, and he also was in broadcasting, he was in broadcast news. And so periodically we would either see each other at different times or run into each other. But he found this to be a whole different kind of experience based on the fact that we're doing a podcast.
It is a different experience from back in college back then.
Yes. But what it made me think about in having the conversation was the fact that in our lifetime, we have a great opportunity to meet a lot of different people who have, I think, influences that are good and or challenging throughout life. And
like college boyfriends?
Like college boyfriends.
Oh,
and, and then it made me think about our experiences just as women in terms of men and how we really make our decisions in terms of who to marry or who not to marry and dating and relationships. So I'm going to go back to when you started dating. Some of the things that I used to talk to you about. So I really have spent some reflection time. So.
I see. Okay. Now I'm going to hear all about this. Okay, tell me about myself back then.
Well, back then when you were in high school, it was important for me to be able to share with you value systems.
Okay.
And to be able to talk about some of my experiences, but also to really think about how you raise a daughter to be able to be comfortable with herself, comfortable with her gifts, and then how she sort of moves through life. And until you were in those dating stages of your life, I really didn't think a whole lot about that.
That was my next question. How long had you been thinking about this?
I had not been thinking about it a lot, but as you were growing up, your dad and I would talk about it. Now,
did you bring it up or did he bring it up?
Probably he brought it up. Probably knowing your father, especially when you were developing, when your body was developing, when you were moving into being a young woman. There were some times that we would have some conversations just about how we're going to have to navigate this world and expectations.
That puts a lot, I feel like, on a mother, because the guy would go to you. He's probably expecting you. My dad probably expected you to have the answers because you've gone through it.
He did.
It's probably like, oh, how can I support you? Maybe. Or was he just asking questions? Or did he have his own opinions about how things should go based on his own experience with his sisters?
Yes, he has two sisters. All of the above.
Okay,
yes,
okay.
yes,
Spicy conversations.
All of the above. And I think the reason why I was just sort of reflecting on my college experiences and reflecting on my boyfriend and just reflecting on you and how important it is today and how important it was way back then to have an idea of just what you want at the time you make the decision to get married and what you do. So parents kind of jump ahead because we're not just thinking about
because you've had the life
kids.
experience,
right?
Yeah,
we're not just thinking about our kids and their dating experience. We begin to think about the qualities and the qualifications, if you will, in terms of that. So
even back in high school.
Well, yes, because you know that your choices in high school, also the opinions of parents and aunts and uncles, and a lot of people have opinions, and you really want to like the people.
I can see that. You want to like the folks who your children probably are around, period. Boyfriends, girlfriends, and also just friends.
Yes.
You just ideally will like the circles that they've chosen.
You would want to do that. That happens sometimes, but it doesn't always happen.
Probably doesn't happen a lot of times. Did you always like my circle of friends?
I liked your circle of friends from school. Always liked your circle of friends. I'm not sure I could say always, but I think most of the time.
Most of them?
I think that you had a pretty good eye
Okay.
for what you wanted.
My judgy came early?
Yes. Yes.
Okay.
Yes. I will tell you that there was one experience when we had our radio station scenario, and it was one of those phases that I think young people go through, men and women, at different times. And this is when rap music was coming out, and we had a lot of the rap artists coming through our radio station at that particular time.
Mm-hmm.
And you were all excited, and you had posters, and they were signing.
I had the Cash
posters.
Money Records poster. I remember that one.
Yes, yes. And your dad wasn't real happy about that.
No, that part I remember as well. He was not thrilled.
And so all of that is a part of it, because then you start thinking, well, I wonder if she's really attracted to
that lifestyle versus something else.
Yes, yeah.
Huh.
So,
well,
but
it was a phase.
It was it was a phase, but it was good. I mean, it was good. But I really think that my reflections had to do a lot with what really gave me an idea of what kind of man I wanted to marry, and what was my real upbringing in terms of my mother, and what she would say about the dating ages and stages and all of that. And so I was just trying to spend some time reflecting.
What would she say about, I mean, now you've told me about myself in my teenage years. What would my grandmother say about you?
She would say that I was extremely busy, and that I had a lot of different ideas about dating, because my mother was, and I've said this before, very strict.
Right.
And so so the rules and regulations within the household were pretty strict. But I can honestly say that when I really became interested, I couldn't date until I was 16. Today, the average age is between 12 and 14.
Seriously?
So, yeah, it is.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, yes. Throughout the United States, that's the 7th and 8th grade are when folks start dating now. So
how can you date if you can't drive?
Because you have groups. People.
Oh, so it's group dating at the age of 12.
And then they meet. They go out to places. They go to malls. They go to the movies. They have parties, and
okay.
And the ages, it's just moved down. Well, back in my day, 16. So 15, 16 was the time frame that I had. My very first date, and I remember this, was going to a charity ball, and the guy who was the neighbor across the street was allowed to take me to that charity ball.
You have an excellent memory.
Well,
Because that was a while ago.
first date. I mean, come on.
I mean, but first date from like, you've had a lot of first dates, right?
Yes.
I mean, you know what I mean? Like,
I have,
you think about where we are at
but
first
the
date.
first date,
like the
remember
oh,
this
wow.
I mean, this is the very, very first date that I went on, and because he was from the neighborhood, so we kind of grew up together. He had two sisters that I was really close to, and so we knew his parents and all of that. But yeah,
How'd the sisters feel about you dating their brother?
I wasn't dating their brother. I just went on a date.
Oh, okay.
with their brother.
The nuance matters.
It did, well, it did, because what they said was, we knew he liked you. I mean,
Okay, yeah.
yes, and I said I didn't know that, but he asked me out, and I already thought, okay, mom and dad are not going to say yes to this, but they did, because it was an event that I was engaged in terms of the organization, a teenage organization.
So another question for you, because you talked about how you grew up in a really strict household.
Yes.
Do you think that you raised me in a strict household?
No, because I was married to your father.
Did he want me to do whatever I wanted?
No, but he wanted you to.
I'd say that was not my experience.
Well, I know, but trust me, it was different. He wanted you to be able to navigate your environment similar to some of the kids you were friends with and going to school with. And so, I mean, and so that was different.
Because you were like, I don't care what they're doing. This is what I'm going to do in my household.
That's exactly right.
Gotcha.
So,
Okay.
think about your first car.
The silver one?
Yes. Think
Yes.
about how that you wanted that car, and you wanted a car when you were 16. And I said, she doesn't need a car. We're driving her every place. We have two
need
cars.
a car. I have to side with my father on this one. I did need a car.
Well, yes, and you and he went car shopping, and so I'm just saying that there were different times when he said something like, "You deserve to have a car." I thought,
That's right. Yes, Daddy. I did deserve. I did deserve.
What 16-year-old deserves to have a car? And I told him I had to buy my first car, so you could, as long as there was a car in the household that you could drive.
Look at this changing times.
Well, it was changing back then, and now I know people who probably buy cars for their kids when they're 12.
Yeah. Do you remember the show My Sweet 16?
No.
On MTV?
No, I don't.
Okay. So the premise of the show, and it was on, I think, when I was a teenager, because I remember watching it when I was younger. But it was people who were famous or people who were really wealthy in the Sweet 16 parties that they would throw their daughters.
Okay.
And so, yes, it was the cars, it was the extravagance, it was these hundreds of thousands of dollars going into this particular event or celebration. So that's how I choose to remember what's possible for young women and their celebration. That very realistic show for everybody.
Oh, right. On MTV, no
On
less.
MTV, yeah.
But I think you really have to have some sense of values that you are trying to make sure that your son or your daughter has in terms of their selection of friends. I also think we didn't have to deal with social media, so it's very different today for young people because their connections are coming in all different ways, and you don't have telephones that you just leave a message on.
Can walk around with. You were stuck to your landline.
Yes, absolutely, and answering machines periodically. So
I remember answering machines.
Remember those things called answering machines?
Yeah, I do.
Well, we didn't even have answering machines when I was growing up. Okay. So, and if I was expecting a call from someone, I didn't want mom or dad to be on the phone because he said he was going to call me, and but that's okay. They were on the phone.
He'll call back.
Exactly. That's absolutely correct.
That's funny.
And I also was thinking about how we become, I think, comfortable around boys. How do we become comfortable around men? I think it's the relationships that you have with your father or with your uncles or whoever the male role models are
Sure.
within your household.
Makes sense.
And it does make sense. I think it was very important to be able to really focus in on how you developed your comfort level being around the opposite sex. And can you remember back when you were younger how you became comfortable being around the opposite sex? Just
Of course not. I
Mm-hmm.
just remember it being around people. But I do remember that my expectation of how I wanted to be treated in my relationships came from my father. The fact that I was unconditionally loved, and he supported me, and all the things that you would want in a father, he provided that. So when I went off into the world and started experiencing other relationships, that was my expectation. I was like, you have to treat me with this standard of care because this is the standard of care from which I'm used to, and that I think has been invaluable, particularly when I look at some of my friends and some of their experiences with men and their level of expectation about how they want to be treated. And as you know, so many things just go back to our childhood. And
Many
so if
things
we
go back
don't,
to our
yeah, many
childhood.
things. And so if we
Right.
don't deal with whatever it is back in our childhood, then it follows us.
Well, speaking of that, because when I think about my childhood, I was also wondering, was there a time when I was really afraid of a man or men? And it actually happened when I was in church. I was afraid of the minister from the church that we were
Why?
going to, because this was a Baptist church, and he truly would be the minister would be on the pulpit, and he would be talking, and he would be talking about God. And I think at one point I even thought, he knows God.
How
I'm
old? Do
like
you remember
four.
how old you
I was
were?
probably five, maybe
Okay. Okay.
five or six, and then I remember one Easter, and he was preaching, and the women in the church would get the Holy Spirit, and they would start shouting. And Easter Sunday, I was sitting next to this woman, and she was shouting, and she got up and she hit me in the nose, and my nose started bleeding all over my Easter dress
Were you
and
afraid
everything.
before that, or
I,
your
I
fear started once you were
well, I think that my
backhanded
fear,
in the
I think
house of God?
backhanded. I think
Which
that's
type of
probably
God?
when the fear really sort of set in,
Sure.
even more so, because then I didn't want to go back to church.
Yeah.
I was afraid.
You're physically assaulted.
Well, I was actually
Yes.
at that point, and all these people started coming over. My father was an usher at church, and so not only was my Easter dress just completely and totally ruined, but the experience was very traumatic for me, and the fact then I didn't want to come or go back to church, and so they were trying to convince me that it was okay, and I didn't want to have that scene played
Again.
and
Yeah.
replayed. And then I thought, now God's going to be mad at me, and
That's
I'm
a
going.
lot for
Well,
a
it was a
child.
lot, and
Yeah.
it was a traumatic experience, absolutely. But I got through
I
it.
was say, how'd you get over it?
Actually, my mother, Rosa, who we refer to and is represented here by our Rose, she actually said to my father that maybe this particular environment was not a good environment for me. I should not be afraid to go to church. I should not be afraid of the ministers. So maybe we should think about going to another church. Well, my parents had met at that church, so they weren't thinking that that would be something that would ever happen. But mommy was adamant that she wanted me to be raised in the church, and daddy was not happy about the fact of.
I can only imagine. I'm listening to you trying to imagine that conversation. You were like, they had the discussion. I was like, I bet it was a discussion.
Well, it was a discussion. So anyway, that we ended up going to another church and joining
Okay.
another church, another Baptist church, but it wasn't a scary experience. And what mommy decided to do was to get me more involved in the activity. So it wasn't just Sunday school and going to church on Sunday morning. So then I joined the choir and junior usher, became a junior
Okay, so
usher
you
for.
got more involved to help get over your fear. I mean, I think that's so interesting that you went, well, it's not interesting. It's now understandable based on that particular experience that you just mentioned in terms of fear of men. I can't remember thinking about being afraid of a man outside of what I heard from others.
Right.
And so you always told me to be aware.
That's right.
And so I think I had general awareness, but I've been fortunate enough, I don't think, to be afraid. If I'm remembering back, unless I was doing something foolish, like in college, out with friends, and we are somewhere we're not supposed to be,
Right.
And it's 3:00 in the morning, then they're like, fear might set in then, but it's.
You actually called me one time at college.
Really?
Uh-huh.
Oh my gosh. Well, I don't know. I don't remember that. Okay.
Oh,
You remember
remember
okay.
that.
Well, here we
remember
go.
that.
So, okay. Continue to tell me about myself. So you told me about
remember that.
myself as a teenager. Now, please,
Well,
what did I do?
you had at that particular time, you were calling me. You and some friends had been out, and you had been at a bar, and so you had been drinking. And
What?
I know. Can you believe that? But you called your mother. So
I know. I'm like,
that-
what? How drunk was I? Okay.
I don't know.
What?
I don't know. But so you told me that one of the guys you'd been dating was there with someone else, and that was upsetting to you. And so your girlfriends said, okay, they were encouraging you and telling you that's okay, and everything will be all right. But you decided you wanted to call and talk to me at that particular
What?
time. I know. Can you believe that?
No, and now I'm trying to remember college.
This was college.
Because you're
Yes.
over here going down your list of high school boyfriends, and I'm like, now who did I date in college? Okay.
So, I haven't gone down the list of my high school boyfriends, but anyway, but what that particular experience, what it taught me at that moment was the fact, because we had a good relationship, you felt comfortable saying, "Mommy, can you believe what he did?" And "Mommy, can you help me here, talk me through it?" And so I did, and I asked you the question, "Who was with you?" And so your friend that was with you was someone that I knew, and so I felt like you were in as a safe environment as one
Sure,
could
sure.
be. But the reason for the phone call was the devastation that you had, that this person had been talking to you, and you thought that you all had a relationship. And I don't know where he was supposed to be, but he was not supposed to be.
That's not where he was supposed to be.
He was not where he was supposed to be. But I think those kind of experiences are learning experiences for you, but I also think they can be a bit traumatic, and they deal with trust issues.
Yeah. I'm still getting over the fact that I called you.
So am
when
I.
I was, right? I'm like,
So am I.
so a little shell shocked that happened.
Yeah,
But, thank you. If I didn't thank you after for talking me off whatever ledge I was on.
I couldn't wait for you to come home. I'll tell you that.
Yeah. I can see that.
Right.
But trust issues are real because, how you treat people matters. And I think you carry that with you. And then when your trust is broken, then it's a lot. It's what's the saying that like it's not easy to have trust, but once you break it, like it's gone. Like nothing is ever the same, ever. You can mend, you can heal, but it's like a broken bone. You can heal it, but it's always like a little different.
You're absolutely correct. But I do have a really good friend of mine that was one of my boyfriends in high school. And
did he break your trust?
he did
Oh.
a couple times.
What? What? See, okay,
times.
this might be a generational difference in that you still talk
Yep,
to
a
anybody who
couple
broke my
times.
trust. I can't even remember names.
Yes. Oh, no. And what was interesting about this particular person, because he's a businessman, and I was in business, and so we had later in life we had some connections just in terms of business, and but he had the best lines in the world.
Like what?
Oh, well,
Give me a good old school pickup line.
I'm so glad you came here because I was thinking about you. Now I'm looking at you with someone else
Okay.
across the room. He sees me, he comes across the room and he tells me, "I'm really so glad you." In fact, I parked my car right out front, because if you happened to come by after work, I wanted you to know that I was here.
Hilarious.
Yeah, it was.
But this person is still in your life.
Well, not in the same way.
No, okay. I'm telling you, broken but don't mend the same quite, Okay.
But that was one of the really, really good lines. But he's still in my life because, I mean, he's married, I was married, the whole, and we had the commonality of not only friendship, but being here in our city.
So you were able to
Dayton, Ohio.
Maintain friendship with an ex.
Yes, I have.
Okay.
I was able to be able to do that, and
That's a skill set.
I've been able to do that sort of across the board, and I think it's because when you get beyond the hurt, the mistrust, I think you can move on to understand a person for where they are today or where they are at that particular time. You can forgive them. You can move beyond that. And see, forgiveness is real important in any relationship, sure. Male or female, but particularly that way.
I mean, forgive, but don't forget.
I just told you the experience.
Yeah. I just broke it all the way down for you.
Right. I did not forget.
But okay.
I could tell you some other stories. But no, the important thing, I think, is to grow as an individual. And think about one of your ex-boyfriends that if you saw on the street, or if you were, or as I ran into a person on an elevator one time that I used to date. It was like a scene out of a movie. I mean, literally. So, that happens.
I guess it does, clearly. Well, okay.
I think what happens in life is that you have a chance to grow, and you have a chance to know now what it is that you want in terms of a partner and a spouse. And if you're blessed and fortunate, you get a chance to meet that kind of person and start a life with them. And then you hope and pray that it's a good decision, and you move forward. Now, in the United States, unfortunately, approximately half of the marriages end up in divorce. And so that growth.
Yeah, I think you need a little bit more than hope and prayers.
What do you need
for marriage? I don't know that there's a good understanding of and marriage means different things to different people and different cultures. The history of marriage is a fascinating one in terms of it being a strictly economic decision, and then in the U.S. now it has a lot to do with love, and because when you look at the divorce rates around the world, they do vary based on culture.
Right.
It also has a lot to do with how are women treated and or empowered or not in a particular culture. Do they have the ability to leave, or do they have the ability to make their own choices based on whatever it is they're going through? And actually, I think that's a generational difference as well. I mean, when we look back, there's some conversation, some people say oh, well, our grandmothers were married for 40 or 50 or 60 years and everything. And it's well, they couldn't leave. We couldn't I don't think women could have a credit card until the 1970s. And so, but
your grandmother was appalled by that. I mean, literally appalled by the fact that she could not get credit.
I believe because she was a businesswoman.
Because she was a businesswoman.
Absolutely. Yeah. They would require your husband to get, and so it's interesting to see now and to witness now when women have more autonomy and more empowerment to live life on their own terms. What decisions do they make?
I think they make decisions based upon love. As you said, I also think they make decisions based upon economic security. I think they make decisions based upon the kind of life and lifestyle they want for themselves and for their children. I think they also make decisions based upon the fact of what they think life will be like. You see, that's
right, because we grew up with Disney, the princess.
Yeah, the Cinderella syndrome, the fairy tales that at the end, when you look at how most of the fairy tales end, it's not necessarily,
yeah, but they don't tell us that. And then it's the wedding is a celebration. So there's a massive celebration before you even enter into the marriage. And the marriage is when the real work happens. I kind of feel maybe the celebration should happen 5 years in, 7 years in,
as
10 years
opposed to
in.
as opposed to the big wedding.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I enjoyed my wedding, and so
I did too.
Yeah.
I enjoyed your wedding. It was
So,
great.
but we also love big celebrations and we love
Yes.
big moments in time. But if I were to think about how my relationship was when we got married, I didn't really know what going into a marriage was. How would I? All I knew was what I had witnessed in my household, and then all my husband knew was what he witnessed in his household. And so it's of course the blending of families. But I mean, now 10 years later. And I guess folks do it. They do other like renewals and everything like at these big
Right.
moments. So
Right.
I almost think that those are more impactful than the beginning because you don't really know what you're getting into.
You all are celebrating your 10-year wedding anniversary.
Shout out to
And
us.
so hey, that's good. Congratulations, because that doesn't always happen.
Not everybody makes it.
Not everybody makes it.
I'm trying to think I can't remember what 10. That's not. I think 5 was wood, and I was like, well, what am I gonna get for wood? But I think like 10. I think 10 is like silver or diamonds or
Oh
something.
yeah, really?
Maybe.
You think 10 is silver?
I mean, I could be wrong. But I'm just
you
saying.
may be
I'll have to
throwing
look
out
that
a
up.
hint right
I
now.
could just be throwing out
Yes,
stuff.
yes.
Yeah.
All right. Okay. He can pay attention to that. Okay.
I'm sure he's been paying attention this whole time to see what I'm going to say about past boyfriends.
But I think it's really important to celebrate the moments.
Yeah.
We have a cousin that's getting married in a couple of weeks, and I happen to be talking to him recently, and he and his fiance were just coming back from marriage counseling.
Oh, that's good.
And so I said, well, how did it go? And he said,
Wedding's still on?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, right. He said, it's going fine. He said, I'm still learning. And I said, oh, you're just beginning.
Right?
You know?
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
It's a lot to learn.
It's
a lot to learn to live with somebody else and to take them into consider. It's just a lot. And it's also different for men and women because I feel like the baseline expectation is different. And then you're having to adjust to who that person really is. And then if it goes long term, ideally people change as they grow. And so you're trying to grow together. It's just, it's a whole thing.
And children make a difference too, because you may have different expectations in terms of
it's a whole other stressor.
You raise your
blessing.
Your child. Blessing.
But, yeah.
Blessing. But how you raise your child
Yeah.
and what you want for his or her future is very important. So I think it also helps when you have good, honest, open communication. I think it helps when you all can talk.
Yeah.
You're not going to always agree. You are not going to be in an environment that is utopia. Life is not like that. Mm-hmm. And so being able to grow together and to work through the issues, work through the problems, work through the challenging moments helps to strengthen, I think, relationships in general. And I can honestly say that it's really good if you are married to a person who can express himself or herself.
Communication is a baseline requirement, and I don't know if I think there's any excuse. Maybe it depends on the age, but to not be able to communicate with your partner as an adult. Particularly if the other person has asked that of you. Like, it's so, how can you navigate life without being able to communicate?
Well, I don't think you can navigate life without being able to communicate. I think that's probably one of the challenges of marriages. I think that there's, at some point, when people are not getting along, then they shut down.
Do you think men and women speak different languages?
Absolutely.
Oh, that was unequivocal.
I know.
You know they do. Okay, you're like, there's no thinking involved. I know.
But they also can grow because I have a very person who's dear to my heart, mm-hmm. and I've seen the transformation. I've seen the growth. I've seen the period in which the person acted in one particular way, but now years later, he's acting in a different way.
So, in your opinion, what language do men speak and what language do women speak? Like, where's the difference?
You perhaps are familiar with the book. Let me see. Men are from Mars and women are from Venus.
I've heard of it. I don't think I ever read it.
Okay. And
it's like I'm living it. I don't need to read about it.
It's been several years since I read it, but I think a part of what was evident in that book is the fact that we are growing constantly. Mm-hmm. And if you're not growing together, then you feel like you're out in space by yourself. So it is important for both of you to acknowledge growth and differentials, because what happens is couples will say that, well, when we got married or when this happened, yes, but things change. So how are you going to then navigate the change? And that's a part of the problem as well. And then there is the whole conversation about love languages.
Oh, I love learning. Well, actually, let me rephrase this. I loved learning about love languages and then understanding what my own was.
Okay.
And
so what is yours?
Words of affirmation.
So you need to be affirmed in terms of who you are and what you are. And
you can just affirm me across the board.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. just all the things.
But you know what's good about that is the fact that you know it, you've communicated it, and one would hope and pray that your husband has heard you.
He did.
And being able to.
And then my friends did too, because I didn't just limit, once I learned this about myself, I didn't just limit my new learning to my marriage. I was like, hey, friends, FYI, as we navigate life together in our friend circles and friend groups, this is something that's important to me.
What do you think is most important in terms of the needed affirmation? Is it once a week? Is it once a month? What's most important to you? Or is it in different ways? How do you want that love language to be communicated?
That's a good question. It probably differs for different people, because there are folks who I'm really close to who I don't talk to on an ongoing basis. But when we get together, it's like no time is left at all. And then, so I don't have like a consistency idea about it. I know it when I see it, or I know when I feel it probably is more important. And then there's also, I learned that it is like your number one love language, and then like there's a secondary too. I cannot remember what my secondary one is. But what's your love language?
Communication is key. So being able to openly communicate.
That's not one of them.
It isn't?
No.
It is mine. It's for me.
It's yours.
It's for me. So tell me.
You're like, no, how to.
What are some of the others?
Oh my God. Okay. All right. Let me see. So acts of service is one. So words of affirmation is another. Oh no, I don't know if I can remember the other three off the top of my head.
Are you sure it's not communication?
I'm pretty sure.
Because being able to
physical touch,
to share.
Physical touch is one. Keep talking though. Maybe it'll come to me as.
I'm thinking about how important it is, and maybe this is age and stage, to be able to not only understand yourself better, but also to be able to understand your partner, and to be able to give back to your partner the same kind of address the same kind of need that he would have in terms of love language. So,
that's true.
So it's a give and take scenario.
Giving gifts
that's important.
is another one.
Okay. All right.
Or receiving gifts, giving gifts. That's
Receiving
one of them.
gifts,
Maybe it's giving gifts.
Giving
Yeah.
gifts.
Yeah. Okay. So I'm only missing one. I got 4 out of the 5. I can't remember that.
That's good, because I couldn't remember the specifics. See, I remembered more about men are from Mars, women are from Venus.
You did. And communicate.
But in mentioning the love languages, I think that as society becomes more connected because of social media and all these other options that we have, it is important maybe for some of those love languages and that communication skill to be able to elevate in a certain kind of way.
I agree. Folks, I think, are feeling less connected as we are in this more digital world. So finding different ways to find love in all of its forms, I think, is helpful and important to people as they navigate their lives and whatever the various pandemics we're going through, whether it's like loneliness or all the other ailments that society is facing.
Well, I think you're right.
You think I'm
Absolutely.
right?
But I also believe that we are in a time frame where you're knowing who you are, and you're being able to express yourself, and you're being able to share with your loved one, with your partner on an ongoing basis is important, because you're maybe one way today, but tomorrow emotionally your needs may be different.
That's true, as you navigate the various stages of life. Absolutely. Yeah.
So, yeah. I think we're doing an okay job
We're doing an okay
navigating.
job.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes.
Thanks for communicating with me
Well, not a problem
today.
at all. We can absolutely say Frank and Rosa, my mother and father, were married for 62 years.
They were.
So that's real important. And
That's a commitment.
It is a
That's a
commitment.
lot of communication.
That is a lot of communication. Your dad and I were married for 32 years, and then not.
Yeah.
So that happened. And you and your husband are now celebrating 10 years in a couple of weeks. So that's a blessing as well.
Yeah. Marriage is a whole thing, but it can absolutely be a blessing for sure.
It can be love. Can
Yeah.
be a
Love is a
blessing.
blessing.
And being able to have someone in your life that loves you for who you are, to have someone in your life that accepts you on all levels, those things that are your strengths and also your challenge areas, and to be able to give to that person yourself fully, totally, honestly, and just work through it. Whatever it is, just work through it. And you have to keep on working through it.
Yeah.
Because every day things can change.
Amen. And on that note,
I will
talk to you next time.
Looking forward to it.
All right.
Thanks.
Bye-bye.
Bye.